Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we were discussing about the objectives of production planning. We looked at the first point, that was for meeting the sales requirement, we had to systematically plan all the activities related to that, and based on the activities that we are deciding, we have to translate what are the activities given to each department. Okay, that was the second point. Then in the third point, you have to provide the right quantity at the right time and the right quality. So that is coming in the third point. And fourth point, we have to coordinate all the department groups to form a smooth flow of the process. So that is the fourth point. Then the fifth point, to promote a full utilization of plants. So there must not be any section inside the plant or any department inside the plant that is uh, at a standstill. So it must not be having a wastage of time, or the machine or the particular department must always be functioning at that particular time. So that is what is known as full utilization of plant. Also the space required inside the plant. So there will be a huge space. The industry may occupy a large space, and each space is divided for each department or each function, or depending upon the machines that is placed, it is divided into such and such categories, right? And each place is utilized. So there may be a place for a workbench or a workplace or a workstation for the individual or the personnel who is working there. And inside that workplace itself, all the tools, the necessary equipments that are required, then a suitable seating position, etc., are provided utilizing that space itself. So each and every space is utilized. So a full utilization of the plant is another objective during the production planning process. So we are planning all these. Okay, so we have to plan how to utilize the complete space inside the plant. So that is another objective. Then last one, to train staff to have the effective performance of their duties. So if the workers synchronously work on that particular operation, only then we can obtain a smooth workflow and ensure more productivity. So that is how that can happen. So one of the ways to do that is the operations carried out by each individual must be exactly the same. So they must work in a synchronous manner. So for that synchronicity, we have to train personnel who are lacking in skill, basically a fresher, or those persons who doesn't have that much experience. These people will not have much knowledge on the operations carried, or they may not be that much skilled when compared with a skilled operator who has worked for the company for about 5 years or 10 years, etc. Okay, so that is the performance analysis there. So depending on that performance, whoever has the lower performance can be trained. So we'll be training that staff to perform their duty in a skilled manner or according to the synchronous manner of other workers. Then only you can ensure a smooth workflow, or else you will have much delays happening inside the industry. So these are the basic objectives. Okay. Next. Okay, next is ergonomics. So what was ergonomics? So we had already seen the term ergonomics, that is nothing but it was always concentrated on reducing the stress or fatigue, right? So it was one of the objectives while we were developing the product. Okay, so that was one objective that we have studied earlier. So ergonomics is always reducing or easing the fatigue. So under that product, it was that objective was related to the customer having to use the product without any ease. So it must be in a simplistic manner so that they can use it in an efficient manner. While in the terms of an industry, ergonomics deals with the work and work environment of the personals present inside the industry. So that is dealing with the ergonomics in industry. So there will be many types of ergonomics. Okay, so one of the factors, so you have already observed, right? So for managers and all, if you observe that for higher level management, there will be offices or they will have discussions inside boardrooms or there will be group discussions. There will be a presentation. They may have office connected with a system. And for analysts, all such persons may have such a thing. And other personals will have much more lesser space or much more lesser features than that of a higher management, and essentially these are all coming under, so it depends upon the job type that is he is given. So in the case of a steel workers or mill workers, they have to have an open space. They can't be given an office and inside the office we have to do that operation. No, you will not see that, right? But for office type jobs and all, you'll be given cubicles, you'll be having such features, maybe some rooms, etc. So it depends upon the job. So that is another factor. And always the ergonomics deals with the comfort, efficiency, and satisfaction of the men working under the industry. So only if you can create a friendly atmosphere or basically some features or such atmosphere, even in tedious jobs or risky jobs, you can have that much comfort, and this comfort relates to the satisfaction of the personnel working there. So an example is shown here itself. So you can see the job is done in three manners: in sitting position and in other semi standing position and a totally standing position. Obviously the ease or the fatigue will be more in the standing position and more comfort will be there in the sitting position. Okay, so these are some of the factors. Okay, other factors are the placement of screen. You can see here, each time it is bent towards the view of the worker. So that is another comfort point. But in all the cases, it is kept in the adequate amount. So the vision should be in this manner. Okay, you can see an inclination there, and that inclination is provided for three conditions. This is suiting the ergonomics there. So some basic functions are there for determining the ergonomics. Next, ergonomics also is aimed at improving the design of jobs and workstation that have unsafe qualities or have caused injury. Okay, so ergonomics can also deal with improving the design of the job. How we can improve the efficiency of the work by boosting the morale of the worker. So he or she will have a certain degree of comfort even under that stressful condition, and basis of that itself, they can keep on working. So if you're considering this situation itself, they have to work in a sitting position for maybe so many hours, right? So they have to be given such comfort there. So how is the comfort given here? This is not a wooden chair as you have seen here. This has sufficient cushion and there is a spring system for adjusting this one. Even the height can be set. So various features are given to this chair so that he or she can have a comfortable sitting upright position. So that is the objective there. We have to provide that the operation may be performed by sitting, but comfort during that sitting is also a matter because of the long hours of work done during this position. So that is another contribution by ergonomics, and these are all done in the sense that only if you provide some of the basic comfort, then can the worker does face no injuries or no problems related to their mental and physical health, and only then can you ensure that productiveness or the presence of that worker for the productive factors. So that is also one factor that affects the productivity. So the worker or the personnel should be present at some types of work which is not automated. So in non-automated systems there must be personnel, right? And that personnel should be of sound health and mind. And for that purpose, we are providing some of the comfort, even if the job is that much stressful. Okay, so these are all coming under ergonomics. Now, the various factors that influence working conditions, and the human factors that are affecting the work are shown here. Okay, so these are some of the factors, human factors. You have seen a question in the model question paper about some of the human factors that are affecting work. This is the same answer for almost same answer for psychological attitudes of human towards work. Okay, this depends on that, but it is not exactly that answer. But these are human factors that affect the work. So what are some of the human factors? First is the engineering. So what is engineering? Design of work systems suitable to the worker. So that is the first thing to ensure a good work or ensure ergonomics of the worker. So both are the same. You are ensuring ergonomics, also the working atmosphere for that worker. So first one is engineering. So what does engineering do? We are designing a work system suitable only for specific type of worker. So if a person knows welding, we are only giving him a job that is related to welding. Okay, so he'll be skilled in that. So if he has to do any other discipline of work, he has to be first trained. So there will be a training program, and under that training program, he must acquire that skill and he must be a proficient in that skill for a certain degree for coming into the productivity field or coming into the production field. So that is being ensured there. Okay, so for that purpose, under engineering, you must always design the work system. So you'll be planning, right? And when you are planning, the operations that has to be carried out by the individual should be related to the work he has already done or the work he is skilled in. So that is how it will be designed or the work system is designed. That is the first human factor that affects the work. If it is not given or the suitable work is not given to that worker, then his productivity level or his performance level will be lower, and this can affect the industrial productivity, or it can form some delays in the making of the product. So that is coming under engineering. Next one is physiology. So what is physiology dealing with? It deals with the study of man and his environment. So the environment is also another factor. So the person that works in an office job, he has been given some environment, right? His environment may be a cabin or a office which is provided sufficient ventilation, and there will be fans or air conditioning depending upon the job, right? So that is the working atmosphere, but that atmosphere is not given to a laborer or a laborer who is having a lifting of some goods or the products or making in the forging process and all. So under that they are having extreme temperatures and all. So it is a discomforting situation, but still he will be given some type of protective devices such as a jacket, boots, helmets, goggles, etc. These are given so as to improve his work or to reduce the degree of danger and to increase the comfort. Maybe it may not be comfortable because of the huge temperatures there. Obviously, it will be the heat will not be that much tolerable for the worker. Okay, so these are all some factors, but still some things are there. So if we are handling a hot equipment, and when you are handling that, you must obviously wear some protective gloves, so if you can touch it. So when a worker is having that protective gloves, he or she can easily lift the workplace without being affected by that heat. So that is the advantage there, and only then can the worker work at that particular atmosphere. So providing a working environment that is satisfactory for the man or woman is necessary, and that comes under the human factors of physiology. Okay, that is physiology. First one is engineering, second one is physiology. Third one is anatomy. So what is anatomy? Study of body dimensions and relations for work designs. So that is also another part. So we are providing various features inside the building, sometimes elevators, sometimes a staircase. Many such things are provided, and each people are related with sufficient anatomy. So each person has a different type of body dimension. Some may be fat, some may be slim, some may be having a huge height, some may be short people. So these are all anatomies. Okay, so obviously a fat person can have a certain degree of fatigue when he is climbing a staircase. So if we are providing an elevator, he can obviously work or get transported to that particular location easily and without less fatigue. Okay, when there is a huge rush, we can substitute that elevator to a staircase, and that can be managed by people who are having a lesser weight or who has some kind of athletic build. So these are all coming under anatomy. That also depends the level of work. So here he or she who is coming to work early in the morning, he must not be in a tired manner. If he is in a tired manner, obviously it will affect the productivity. So we have to provide them some features for easing out their fatigue other than the fatigue during work. So we are ensuring that no other fatigue other than the fatigue inside work is present for the worker. So even the fatigue in their work should be minimized to a smaller amount. So it can't be nullified because the job may be some every jobs have some level of difficulty, and obviously depending on the difficulty, fatigue is encountered for people, and it depends, and we can't nullify it, but we can minimize it by providing better environment features. Okay, that is coming under anatomy. Next is psychology. So psychology deals with the study of adaptive behavior and skills of people. So depending upon the skills only, we are suiting the worker to the various work system. So that comes under engineering, right? So we are giving him the work that which he is fluent in. That much we are giving. But there is some problems with the individuals he may be working with. It may not be a single type job. There will be multiple persons present in that department or in that particular field or particular operation. So each some operations requires two men or two or more men, and other that their behaviors or their skills may not be same. Okay, there will be some differences, there will be some ethical differences, religious differences, there may be some physical differences, all the things, language barriers, etc. So these are all coming, right? So we have to adapt such, even if there is such differences, we have to adapt a method to have a coordination between all these people. So we have to ensure that they have to work together harmoniously, then only we can obtain more productivity. So that is coming under psychology. So these are all studies that is done in an industry to ensure such a thing happens. So there may be many nationalities of people, right? Even in India there are many nationalities. So that also comes into play during psychology factor of ergonomics. And the last one is industrial hygiene. So industrial hygiene does not mean the place has to be clean and smooth and without any dust and all. So if you go to an automobile workshop, there will obviously be some sort of soot or some sort of dust. Everything will be there, but still it is managed in a similar manner. So what does industrial hygiene mean? It means nothing but every items or every equipments that is being used or every operations carried out must be in a safe way. So there must not be any accidents. That is what is meant by industrial hygiene. So if there is hazards occurring in a industry, then obviously the person who joins that job, or after analyzing the risk factor, he will take a decision that he doesn't want to work in that company because the risk factors are high. Obviously, to avoid this, the company gives more salaries for risky jobs for attracting people. Even then, because of the occupational hazards, less people only will be available for that particular job. So if you are providing some degree of safety, or if you are ensuring 100% safety, of course people will come to work. So they are working in a risky environment, or they are working with the sole purpose of achieving a wage or a salary, right? And for that salary, they have to have a job that is less risky. So for such a job, only then they can work with some level of confidence. And to ensure that, we must be able to produce or provide some feature of safety inside the industry. So these are the 5 human factors that affect the ergonomics. And first one is engineering, then comes physiology, then anatomy, psychology, and last one industrial hygiene. So these are some of the human factors. Next is principles of good product design. Okay, principles of good product design. There are basically 6 principles. You can look here. So when you're writing this answer, just draw this figure. You can see here just a box diagram showing the product design and all the 6 principles around the product design. And first one is customer requirements. So obviously we are going to study about product design, how to make a good product design. Okay, and on basis of that design, or the basis of the design that is to be implemented for such a development, is nothing but customer requirements. So customer requirements are taken into consideration, and from that requirements, various functions needed for the product is analyzed, and these functions are uh, then collaborated into our objective uh, objective formulation. So we are stating the objective on basis of the customer requirements. So some of the requirements that basically they demand are nothing but quality, performance, reliability, durability, etc. These are some of the basic requirements they always envision for the product. Okay, so that are being ensured. Apart from that, what all we have to implement, or what are the functions that are to be needed, these are also obtained from based on the customer requirement. Next is functional aspect. So what are the functions that the product has to perform? That is the next part. So first one was based on the customer requirement, we are sorting out the objectives, and based on that objective we are uh, determining what all functions the product has to do. So for example, you can see a function of an AC is nothing but provide cooling of a room. So we are cooling the room. That is the functional aspect there. It may be cooling or heating. Both are done in modern day conditioners, and in that the main purpose is always cooling down the temperature. Okay, additional features such as electronic features, or features which carry a remote, so you can operate the air conditioner from any place. So these are all additional aspects, and these are not primary functions but secondary functions. Okay, so the primary function was always to ensure that the room is cold, cool. And to ensure that AC has to work in such a way to reduce the temperature. Okay, that is the functional aspect, while the other one is the secondary aspect related to it. So we are determining the functions in the next stage. So first one was customer requirement, next one was functional aspects, wherein you are determining what all functions the product has to perform. Next one are the operational aspects. So functions are stated, okay. After that, we are determining what all operations the product is used at, maybe for a period of uh, a long period of or span of time, or maybe in an environment that is hot, or maybe in an environment in it is cold, or what happens when we drop that product from a certain height. So you have all seen various tests done. So, right, even when new mobile phones are launched, you can see in YouTube itself in various videos related to what happens when the mobile falls from a certain height, or when it is put in water, or what happens when a stone strikes it. So each and every test you have seen, right? Those are tested for failures. So these can be encountered in a mobile. So accidentally you can just drop the phone, or accidentally. So we are creating that atmosphere, or what happens in real conditions, and we are then measuring what all can be improved to reduce the stress occurring inside that devices. So these are coming under operational aspects. So we are operating it and observing, or we are forecasting the operational aspects in an artificial manner, so that you can better understand how good the product is, or how reliable the product is, or how long does it last. These are all obtained during operational aspects. So first one was customer requirements. On basis of that requirements, we were formulating product objectives. Then came functional aspects. Functional aspects, wherein we are determining what all functions the product has to do. Next came operational aspects. So we are testing the device for all the operations that is to be carried out, and even if it is satisfying that sufficient operation. Then comes reliability. So reliability means dependability of the product. So I have already stated before, reliability means that the equipment must work for a particular span of time that is stated by the company without any failure. So if it happens like that, then it is called a reliable product. And reliability, only if the product is reliable, then only the customers can buy it, or customers will be attracted to that product, or else you will lose the customer demand that you obtained in the initial stage. So these are all, this is why a reliable product is needed for winning over the consumer or the customer. So reliability is another factor that affects good product design. Next is manufacturability. So manufacturability determines two things. First is the product must be available in the market. So if it is a product of huge demand or low demand itself, the product must be always present in the market. It must not be out of stock. For, so you know that there will be ready-made milks, right? Milk cartons, milk in bottles, etc. are present, right? And they are of different companies. Many companies may be there, or even if you take a food product, or an ice cream, etc. All have different types of flavors, same flavors, but all are of different companies. So when one company product is over, then people prefer the other company, right? So what happens is, there, when that other company is being bought, the consumer is attracted to that other company, provided that it is having the right quality and all, etc. If it is having the right quality, obviously people will choose that, because it is always available in the market, while that other brand or the other company's product is not available. So then the people will prefer the other product. So that is one way to look at manufacturability. Also, manufacturability deals with having low production cost. So the cost that is incurred for the product must be at a lower point, or else the people will not buy it. Okay, so you have all heard about expensive things, expensive necklaces or expensive cars, etc. These are all expensive, and these are meant for only those kind of people, or a millionaire or a billionaire, etc. So these people will only be attracted to that product, and they will not get sufficient sales. Okay, so for obtaining sufficient sales, you must have lower cost, or lower manufacturing cost always incurs lower price or maximum retail price of the product, and this is how manufacturability affects the product design. Okay, so first, next is aesthetic aspect. So what is aesthetic aspect dealing with? Aesthetic aspect is nothing but the attractiveness of the product, or the design of the product, or how the product is based upon, and the final shape of the product. So if you look at some designs, you will be attracted towards it. So there are, you can see as an example, so many soaps are provided here, and from that soap you can choose the most. With the people will be attracted to a most design type, maybe at this type or this type. They are familiarized with already a rectangular or a cuboid shape soaps, so it will be out of demand. Okay, then those with the shapes or particular color, attractive colors, will be attracted to that person, and he or she might buy that. So that is how we ensure uh, that the productivity is being increased. So aesthetic aspect controls the product productivity, or it controls the profit generation, and it is also a factor that attracts the consumer. So that is coming under aesthetic aspect. Then comes quality control. So under quality control, the earlier, as earlier mentioned, quality is obviously defined as the fitness for the purpose. So how well the product can perform, or how good it is there. So if it is a reliable product, obviously it will have good quality. So that quality is ensured, and we are controlling that quality on basis of various productivity and all. We will be learning in the following modules, and under that itself, quality deals with the fitness. Okay, the fitness for the purpose. So obviously a customer requires a quality product, but at lower cost. So usually when a quality product is present, it will be having higher cost, but when compared with many other competing companies or many other things, if you are providing a quality product with a lower price, obviously the customer will uh, look into your product, or they will always demand your product. So these are some of the factors or principles that are affecting good product design. So first one is customer requirements, then came functional aspects, then operational aspects, reliability, manufacturability, aesthetic aspect, and finally quality control. So these are all some of the factors affecting good, so are the principles affecting good product design. We'll wind up the class today. Okay, sir. Attendance.